Welcome to the Zweig Letter podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting advice and guidance in your ear. Zweig Group's team of experts have spent more than 3 decades elevating the industry by helping AEP and environmental consulting firms thrive. And these podcasts deliver invaluable management, industry, client, marketing, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter podcasts, elevating the design industry one episode at a time.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of the Zweig Letter podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited to be with you today. I have got a great episode for you. This is one of those rare days where I get to record a number of podcast shows, and so I've just had some great guests that I've actually interviewed for the Zweig Letter podcast, and this next guest is no exception. I'm sitting here with Lucas Hayden, who is the product marketing director with Unanet, and he is based physically in Lynchburg, Virginia, but Unanet is based out of where, Lucas?
So we're based out of Northern Virginia, but we've got folks all over the country.
Right, actually, that's perfect. So, and for those of you that aren't familiar with Unanet, and I had to look them up, and I'd heard the name, but I wasn't 100% familiar. But you guys are going to know them at the end of this podcast, and if that isn't enough, the ElevateAEC event that's coming up just after we actually physically record this in September of 2021, there is a live event, a free event, I might add, where Unanet is also participating in that event, and they're doing a really great program about growing revenue without adding headcount. And that's one of the ElevateAEC events that's going to be taking place. It's a free event. And even if you listen to this podcast after the event, you'll be able to go back online and watch it and see Lucas and hear from him and the rest of his team. But again, to bring you up to speed, Unanet is a leading provider of ERP and CRM solutions, purpose-built for government contractors. That's why they're in Virginia, of course. AEC and professional services. They have more than 3,200 project-driven organizations which depend on Unanet to turn their information into actionable insights, drive better decision-making, and nurture business growth. And I think we all want to nurture our businesses to grow. And so without further ado, Lucas Hayden, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Randy. Really appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I told you this, I already set you up. You got to give us your superhero origin story and don't worry about anything. Nobody can see you. This is just you and I having a conversation, and the audio will capture all of it, but just give us your quick superhero origin story before we jump into Unanet and your company.
Sure. Yeah. Superhero origin story. I like that. So I actually started off as a software developer. I was a programmer, and I came to Unanet as a data analyst. I did data conversions from firms coming off of a variety of different softwares over to Unanet. And from there, I actually ended up kind of growing into doing more educational training, building out demo databases, kind of building out some of that story there. I've been involved in everything from, again, data analytics, business consulting, and currently I'm one of the product marketing leaders for Unanet, just telling our story and talking about the great things that you can do with our software.
Oh, okay, well, good. So since you are an expert in telling the story of Unanet, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how the company got started?
Sure, yeah. So Unanet was founded by Fran Craig, wonderful, innovative individual, and we've been around now for about 33 years. And it's neat because we're really proud of our legacy and how we've grown over the years. But the cool thing about it is that our customers don't really tend to think of us as a legacy software company. They love typically, like our modern solutions, and more importantly, our team. One of the things that Fran really majored on was the idea of building a great team and a great team of experts to support the wonderful software that Unanet has built. And so it's because of that kind of deep experience in our teams that serve, like you mentioned, our GovCon and AEC and professional services industries. It's that deep experience, kind of our forward-thinking innovation that has really kept us fresh in the market. And around Unanet, we like to say that our legacy isn't about the last 30 years, but it's more about your next 30 as one of our customers, and coming up with innovative ways to solve the problems that our customers are facing today. So it's been quite an exciting ride for the team here at Unanet.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, you guys are growing, and now had you guys always served the AEC industry, or was
Uh,
that?
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh yeah. So we've always served GovCon, AEC, and professional services.
Okay, so those have been those. That's been your areas of expertise since day one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I got you. And as you look at the team that you have, along with the CEO Craig Holliday, and I mean these folks have they've been around the block and they know what they're doing. I mean, you guys have some folks that have been able to on the implementation side of software and software as a service. I mean, you guys have been able to really make some tremendous headway, and you have some really strong people on the team. How involved is Fran Craig still, the founder? How involved is she with the company?
She stays fairly involved in the neat thing about Fran is that you can really see her fingerprints on all areas of the company. Craig Holliday is a great guy and a great CEO, and customers serving our customers has been his number one focus, and that just echoes exactly the sentiments of Fran.
Okay. All right. And so to kind of break it down, in terms of the services that you offer ERP services both on the gov, as you say, I like how you say it, the GovCon side, and architects and engineers, and then CRM and proposal management work for both of those spaces. How do they vary in terms of how you serve the needs of architects, engineers, and construction versus the government contracting side?
Sure. It's really kind of based on kind of the basic needs of the industry. When you look at the GovCon space, compliance is one of the number one concerns for many GovCon companies, and so we obviously focus on providing software that helps them stay in compliance and stay in compliance in an easy, automated way. And then on the A&E side, A&E firms are focused on really two things: providing excellent service to their customers and driving profitable, scalable growth for their businesses. And so for our AEC side of the company, we really focus on supporting our firms in those two endeavors.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And so that allows you to continually iterate your services and your offerings because the design industry continues to change on a regular basis. How do you keep up with how things have changed so much, especially during the pandemic?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And 2020, it really was kind of a watershed year. I'm thinking particularly um, uh, for the customers that we serve, and we just released a industry benchmarking report, and one of the most challenging things that our customers and prospects, firms in the AEC space are facing right now is the ability to forecast out, where things are going to be, at the end of this year as we look into 2022. And the way that we have um, tried to meet the needs of our customers is honestly by listening to them and building solutions that they have said are going to be the needle movers for their business.
Yeah. So do you feel like, I mean, is in terms of that ability to get somewhat granular in terms of the customer need, are you saying that Unanet is kind of capable of taking each version of their service that they offer to a client and tweaking it specifically to that client's needs?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can take our solutions and tailor them to run your business the way that you want to. We've got a saying around Unanet that, while a lot of firms, will use a piece of ERP software or CRM software to simply run the business and get things done, we're more about helping you run your business better. And so, we do that through a variety of ways. I mean, we talked about kind of our depth of expertise from our consultants and things like that. But another way that we do that is through really kind of becoming a firm's growth engine, and through products like our Unanet Connect platform that connects our products seamlessly with other best of breed software, so it can really create an ecosystem, an automated ecosystem that really turns a business's information. We all spend time putting information into a system when we run our business, but can take that information and turn it into actionable insight across the organization. Um, I think is really the way that we help firms, like you said, really tweak it towards, the kind of business that they're running, and the way in which they run that business and what's successful for them.
Yeah. And what would you say, what has the last 18 to 19 months been like for you guys with the pandemic and everything else? How has that played into the way that you guys do your business? And also, what changes or nuances have you seen happen or take place over these past 18, 19, 20 months, as I call it, since, February or March of 2020?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. A lot of the things that we help our customers, with, we've kind of been right there in the same boat, with them. So we've rolled out a lot of work from home initiatives. We've obviously come together as a company to support each other through the pandemic. Um, and faced a lot of the same kinds of challenges and decisions, that our customers do. What's the best way for us to grow? How can we adapt and provide the same level of service to our customers in a virtual or at least partially virtual environment, depending on where we are in those last 18 months. So I kind of feel like, in a way, the pandemic has brought us together in a unique way, kind of in the same ways that our customers have also been brought together. So I would say that we've kind of experienced, a sense of uh, unity, a sense of togetherness, and kind of moving forward together to both succeed in the midst of the pandemic and set up scalable solutions to last long term as well.
Yeah. And are you guys looking at all, or how do you, when you know that your clients are going to be dealing with not so much uncertainty, but I mean, obviously in the United States, there's all this talk about this infrastructure plan through Congress
Yeah,
and how that's going to impact firms, right? How do
sure.
you guys as a company forecast for that or plan for that so that you can meet the needs of your clients as they may wake up one day and realize, oh my gosh, my client, whoever your client is, that's an AE firm that has a client that's now flush with a lot of cash because of infrastructure work that they may be faced with. How do
Mhm.
you help them bridge those gaps?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, us as a software provider and a provider of solutions for firms, um, we have spent the last 18 months um, building out great additions to our products that are kind of going to be, there waiting for that influx of business. The infrastructure bill hit our radar really early on and kind of became, a theme like, we we certainly anticipate, whatever shape or form that takes as it goes through, that bill to affect our clients in a really positive way. And so we've been kind of positioning our products to help them become more agile, to help them become more efficient, and to really take advantage of the opportunity that the infrastructure bill could create for them.
Yeah. And would you be able to kind of share any specific ideas that you guys came up with that you think, based on this, on the information that you're seeing, and what you think is going to happen whenever this bill does pass, if it passes, something specific that you think firms are going to be able to utilize through Unanet?
Yeah, the thing that I think of that probably comes top of mind is I would say a couple different things. Um, One thing on the GovCon side of in the GovCon market, there's going to be a need to understand um, what's coming down the pipeline, and especially as it relates to that infrastructure bill. So being able to get out in front of market intel and know which jobs to bid on, and kind of the cadence at which those will be coming to market for GovCon firms is going to be a key thing in staying ahead in that market. And so we've actually just released um, uh, a CRM for GovCon solution that includes market intel. It includes CRM, being able to really nurture those customer relationships and grow your pipeline in a way that's smart and in a way that fits your business model. And then, of course, our GovCon ERP for taking the profits that are secured in that bid um, stage, and being able to execute those projects in a way that secures that profit kind of instilled up front. And in a way, it's a very similar story for AEC as well. With a great CRM fully integrated into our ERP, firms are going to be able to grow and nurture their pipeline in a way that will allow them to apply past project performance to their current bids and their current opportunities. Because for AEC in particular, when you look at the infrastructure bill, when you talk about roads and railways and things like that, new construction, that sits, in the sweet spot for AEC. And so we want firms to be empowered to go after that business with the right information, that they can come in with the right bids in the right amount of time, that they can win those, be awarded those contracts, and then, like I just said a moment ago, really kind of change the game from project management to profit management, so they can really kind of use us as a growth engine to take advantage of again, all the opportunity that the infrastructure bill could afford any AEC firms.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering here, as I was looking, kind of perusing through some of the parts of your website, especially where you talk about Unanet for architects and engineers. The whole idea is centered around this way of, how do we make AE firms more profitable? I think one of the things that is for software companies particularly, and maybe this is the case for yours, is how do you address the growth of mobile computing, and how will Unanet factor that into things as we continue to advance? Because nowadays, and I'm looking at you and I'm showing you my phone, but we carry these supercomputers in our pockets now. How
Yeah.
are you guys leveraging this technology to do what you're talking about in terms of making a firm more profitable, making the leadership, the project managers, able to make decisions at a moment's notice because they have access to volumes of information that is right in their pocket? Where are you guys with that? Do you feel like you have been able to fully embrace the mobile computing arena?
Yeah, absolutely. You actually put it really well, in kind of how you phrased your question there. But yeah, we are building solutions that are meeting the user right where they're at. So, for instance, for kind of the the bulk of say an A&E firm staff, they're putting their timesheet. We want our solutions to enable them to put in their timesheets exactly where they are. So whether that be on a mobile device, on their laptop, or sitting at their desk, we've got an access point that'll allow them to do that. If you're a project manager, project managers and kind of the art of project management is becoming much more flexible, much more agile. Needs to be much more relational than it was, say, 5 years ago. And so we're building solutions with access points that essentially support that. So if you've got access to a web browser, on your laptop, you can manage your projects. You can see your project statuses in real time as that time and that expense gets entered. And then if you're talking about kind of an executive level, someone who's a principal of a firm or one of the principals in charge, like you said, like they need to be able to pull out their mobile phone, pull up their analytics, which we support on the mobile device, and see how projects are performing, how their project managers are performing, what's the trajectory of the growth of the firm, and are we on track to meet those needs? It's interesting. Speaking of technology, we in the report that we just released, of companies that expect higher profits, 11% or greater, 53% of firms that use data regularly, kind of like you mentioned, like in terms of mobility to make better decisions, we saw that 53% of firms expect 11% profit or greater, whereas firms that only use data sometimes or rarely, only 19% of those firms expected that same level of profitability. And so, you bring up a great point. The ability to leverage technology in a way that's modern and forward thinking, and again, kind of meeting the different users, right where their fingertips are, is very important just to the growth and sustainability and profitability for the firms that we serve.
Yeah. I mean, it's just in this day and age where we are in 2021 at the time of recording this, I leave a job site at 5:30 on a Friday afternoon. I should just be able to literally whip open my phone, tap in some keys and some information to track my time, my utilization, whatever. And maybe I expensed out a lunch that I had that day where I took one of the clients out. I should be able to do all of that in about, I don't know, a minute or two, and then, hop in my car, throw on the Zweig Letter podcast and head home. Right. I mean, in a perfect world, that's kind of, that's what I'm thinking, man.
Yeah. So. I think you're right. Yeah. Perfect world. You're pulling out your mobile, you're pulling up Unanet, you're looking for the projects near me, so you can pull up your project, easily put time in, and then you're throwing on, the Zweig Letter podcast on the way home.
Yeah. And then the nice part is that whoever is in your back office, and as you mentioned earlier about the point of not needing as bloated of a back office as a lot of firms have traditionally been used to, that back office guy or gal that comes in on a Saturday to reconcile things has all that information that you just entered the night before, and in real time they're able to update their information and maybe send a report off to the leadership of the company that weekend or whatever, and it's accurate. Right? Because that's, yes. I mean, time is money. We all know this. And design firms have historically had challenges in this area, whether it was keeping up with timesheets and things of that nature. And that's like the bane of every project manager's existence. And so what you guys are providing is such a tremendous service and a tremendous product that if used properly, it could really go a long way in turning the tide and how profitable design firms are. Now, I want to just jump into something else real quick and find out how much, if I'm a new client of Unanet, how much training can I expect to be able to use this thing like the Swiss Army knife that it's supposed to be?
Sure. Yeah. I think the training you can expect can like an accordion, can kind of expand or contrast to the number of users that are using it, in the ways that they need to use it. Obviously, the web is so intuitive that, from a, like, the mainstay of your workforce should need very little training to get going on things like time and expense, kind of like those main things. And the nice thing about Unanet is that we feature Unanet University, which has fully recorded online learning options, which makes it really helpful to rolling out the software to your various teams.
Yeah, and that is customized to whatever offerings that firm has from Unanet. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah, we can flex to whatever needs a firm might have.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that's exciting to hear about and to learn, and I guess it makes sense. That would be, one of the focuses that that you would talk about at the Elevate AEC event of growing revenue without adding headcount, because the technology is there. I mean, Lucas, if you think about it, the
Yeah.
technology it's been there for a while. I think this industry is just fully embracing it
Sure.
wholeheartedly and then utilizing it to the best of their ability. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how project managers can be more efficient and how they manage projects, because I think if they have less to worry about on the technical side of things, then they can give more of themselves on the relational side of things to continue to build up those that are on their project team. Because if there's one thing that I've heard over the years when I've done project management training, is that there's always a lack of communication. Sometimes there's a lack of empathy between between the project managers, the APMs, and the rest of the team, and everybody is robbing Peter to pay Paul from a time perspective, because they just don't have everything organized and in order. But with a program like Unanet, and if used properly and implemented properly, it certainly can take a lot of those challenges and a lot of those time-sucking moments off the plates of those guys and gals that are leading these project teams. And then that affords them the ability to then refocus their efforts on the individuals that are on the team. Because I've always said that if you take care of the people that are on your project team, your project will take care of itself.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And we're seeing the same kind of thing coming out from the market, just that a lot of firms really are challenged by a lack of integration between their project management data and their finance tools, their PM tools and data and finance tools and data. And you're exactly right. If a project manager, in fact, I was working with a firm last year, and they had implemented a series of project management focused analytic dashboards that they were able to provide their project managers with the information that they need about their projects. And what that did was it not only empowered their project managers to just run their projects more effectively, and like you said, focus on becoming better teams and providing better service, but it also cut down on the amount of requests that the project managers had to put into finance for reports. Like you mentioned, like you put a timesheet in, on Thursday at noon. In a perfect world, finance should be able to see the impact on the P&L at the moment that timesheet submitted, and the project manager should be able to see the impact on their project as soon as that timesheet goes in. And it's just really neat. Like when firms, this particular firm, took the time to kind of do a cross-functional approach. What does finance need from these dashboards? What does project management need from it? And build a solution that can really just bring about efficiencies and better projects across the board. It's super helpful. And so it's really neat. It's neat to see firms starting to embrace, the idea of, data kind of being the center of, their strategic plans for profitable growth, especially as we move, out of 2020 into 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, I like that. And, as I was listening to what you were saying, I was just curious to know, do you have any stories or maybe an example or two? Because what happens is, like, you create a product, you have this software, and people start using it. You have clients that are using it, and then they even find ways to create shortcuts around that. So how in tune or connected are you with the clients where you guys have picked up some workarounds that you said, you know what, in the next iteration of this software, we're gonna shorten that workflow, or we're gonna make it a little simpler because of something that a client has done to kind of go under the hood, if you will, and tweak with the software to make it work for them.
Sure, yeah. A couple of things come to mind. One, I mentioned, their use of analytic dashboards. So they build out dashboards that, give the right kind of information to their project managers and to their, executive team, and that definitely, can inform, the next dashboards that we build. The other thing, one of the things that we actually kind of pride ourselves in doing is our um, kind of design process that includes our customers. And so we just launched uh, a new program and then another that has kind of been around for a while. But we have a customer suggestions portal. And that is a constant dialogue with our development team and customers. Customers can go in, they can submit ideas, based on what they're doing to problem solve. And then others can vote up those ideas. So our development team can kind of build to the things that our customers are asking for. But we've also we've had that portal for quite some time, but we've also just now earlier this year launched what we call Unanet First Look, which allows our development team to work very closely with our customers who can opt into the program, and not only ask the questions of, like you said, like what are ways you guys are innovating that we can kind of come in and support. What problems can we help you solve? But it also allows us to take those ideas and those problems, build solutions, and present those back to those customers before it gets built, and to do design workshops with them, and then to do usability testing for the solutions that actually get built from those ideas. And so it's kind of it's been neat to take a really holistic approach to how we build solutions for our customers.
I bet it sounds like it, and it sounds like you guys have even figured out a way to bring the customer in on the at the level of when you guys do a sprint, when you're about to release a new version. So that's really impressive, man. I could go on and talk for days about this, and I know you could, Lucas. But as we
Sure.
close, is there anything that that you want to remind our listeners about with regard to Unanet, and how can they connect with you if they want to try out your product or service, and maybe go through a process with learning more about this service?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think you've got my contact information in the podcast, so they can certainly reach out to me.
Yeah,
Unanet.com
we'll
is a good
yeah
place
we'll
to.
Okay.
Go
No, I
ahead.
was going to say we'll stick that in the show notes, but if you want to give a specific email or anything like that, feel free to do it right here, right on the podcast, and they can reach out to you. You'd be surprised. Some people, I don't know about you, but I listen to podcasts and stuff, and I get a website address or I get an email, and I'm writing it down like, let me contact this person. So whatever you want to give that you feel comfortable giving is fine, and we'll certainly make sure that they have that. And that report that you wrote, is that available? Is that something that we could share with our audience?
Yeah, it is available. Yeah, we've got. I can get some information for that into the show notes for you,
Okay,
for
great.
sure.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, so if you're listening and you want to write down a way to contact us, I would go to unanet.com, and from there you can call us directly, 703 689 9440, or you can get in a sales request directly. But again, unanet.com, that's unanet.com. And yeah, as far as, kind of last thing to share, we talked about 2020, and, no one was really prepared for 2020. But, the thing that we like to think about is that doesn't mean that we can't be ready for what's next. So as we talk about things like the infrastructure bill, or we talk about things like inflation or the cost of doing business, and, that eating into margin, things like that. I think the thing that Unanet is committed to doing is bringing solutions that can better control, give more visibility, and help you gain more accurate forecasting, that can ultimately help your team discover more profitable opportunities and gain more profitable projects. And from our perspective, we're here for you, every step of the way. And, to me, to think about Unanet is to really think about an investment in the right technology, the best team, and in long-term growth. So I guess that's kind of how I would leave it. We're Unanet, we're 30 years of partnership and counting, and we'd love to engage with you more.
Man, that's it. I couldn't have said it better, Lucas. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect with us for this podcast. Really excited about seeing you on the ElevateAEC platform there for the virtual event that's taking place from September 13th to, I think, October 7th, thereabouts. And I think you guys are on September 14th. But if you happen to be listening to this and it's post that date, never fear. You can go online to zweiggroup.com and click on the ElevateAEC virtual event, which is free, and you'll be able to watch the replay of that and check out Lucas in all his glory. And then you can also re-listen to this podcast if you are so inclined and feel inspired to want to figure out a way to use the technology available and at your disposal to take your company to the next level. So, Lucas, thank you so much for joining us on the Zweig Letter podcast. We really appreciate you.
Hey, thanks, Randy. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, that's another episode of the Zweig Letter podcast. To learn more about one of the oldest newsletters in the design industry, visit thezweigletter.com. You can read articles online, listen to this podcast, and sign up for a free subscription to the newsletter and have it delivered right into your email inbox every Monday morning. Sign up today. For more info about Zweig Group's advisory services or any Zweig Group publications, visit zweiggroup.com. You can also subscribe to the Zweig Letter podcast wherever you listen to it. And please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. As a matter of fact, the next review that we get, I am going to read on the podcast, and I'm going to give you a shout out. So that's my encouragement to you right now. You heard it today. Please rate or review the Zweig Letter podcast. Let us know what you think, and we will read your review online. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn. We will see you soon. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Zweig Letter podcast. We hope that you can be part of elevating the industry and that you can apply our advice and information to your daily professional life. For a free digital subscription to the Zweig Letter, please visit thezweigletter.com/subscribe to gain more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about leadership, finance, HR, and marketing your firm. Subscribe today.